Hi guys. Hey, I was thinking today about a time when I was a kid and my mom and dad and all of us would be sitting in the living room, and we'd come in and we'd watch this show, and it was called The A-Team. And I loved The A-Team. It always seemed like they'd put their plans together, and they were always fighting for the weak and the oppressed and helping those out that couldn't help themselves. And they'd come in and they'd put their plan together, and it didn't always work out the way they expected it to. But at the end, their leader, Hannibal, he would say, "I love it when a plan comes together." And it sort of reminds me of how God works. I love reading the story of Esther. Esther was a Jewish girl who was taken away from her cousin Mordecai. Her family she was an orphan, and she was living with her cousin, and she was taken away and taken to the king's palace. She ended up being the queen of King Xerxes. But there was a man named Haman that wanted to kill all the Jews in the land. And Mordecai, her cousin, comes to her, and he starts explaining that she needs to talk to the king, and that she needs to send herself before him. And she starts explaining to him that she can't do it, she's going to get killed. And he begins to explain to her that if she didn't, God's plans would still happen, but that she was created for such a time as this. I hope that you read this story, because it's very indicative of the time that we're living in right now. But one of the phrases in Esther chapter 4, verse 14, it says that she was her cousin Mordecai was telling her she was created for such a time as this. The world around us right now is a very unprecedented times, kind of like what Queen Esther was living in. It could feel overwhelming to us. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and it's something none of us would have ever expected. But we find ourselves sometimes feeling really small in the middle of a huge crisis. And I'm sure that that's how Queen Esther felt. Very small, in the middle, in the thought of every Jew being murdered. But we need to remember, like Queen Esther did, that God is not small. God is big. God is in charge of everything. He hasn't left us to filter or to flounder. Jesus is not surprised by any of this, and the Holy Spirit is still in charge of doing the will of the Father. And so it's our part to just remember that we are created for a purpose, just like Esther was. We are created for this moment in time. God's not surprised. We're created for such a time as this. And I just want to remind you that I love it when God's plans come together. And this has been the Heart of Devotion.